As the Microsoft Atlanta building rises into existence here in our city, we will all rise and shine together with the launch of Microsoft's The Garage Atlanta, showcasing the many thought-provoking artists and visionaries right within our company. The Garage Atlanta is committed to stoking creativity and innovation and building and fostering our Atlanta community. Learn from local artists, be inspired so we can all shine together. Rise and shine, Microsoft Atlanta. We'll meet you at the Garage.
You can have a seat. Are you comfortable?
I am comfortable. I am so comfortable in your space. I shouldn't say that. I'm going home, I promise.
No, it's fine.
But thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it. We have been excited to meet you, to know more about you, to hear from you, and to see your work.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I have something to offer.
Absolutely. And we love the fact that you are local to Atlanta. You know, to have someone as creative as you are in our space is just magnificent. It's good for the city.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I've been, born and raised, but it's nice to be able to have a spot where, my career roots and inspiration roots and all that have been established. And I've been blessed enough to have a pretty nurtured career outwardly, and then it's expanded and grown and evolved over time. And I've been able to take it outside of the city, outside of the country. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a nice home base.
That's good, good.
Yeah, so.
You mentioned roots. Let's start there.
Okay.
So, born and raised.
Born and raised in Atlanta. I was born at Crawford Lawn. Grew up in Gwinnett County. That's OTP North. If you listen to Migos, it's that way.
OTP, outside the perimeter.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and so, high school and all that isn't really necessary, but I went to Savannah College of Art here in Atlanta.
SCAD.
Yeah, off 1600 P Street. And I got a BFA in illustration and painting there, and I graduated in 2009.
And so BFA is the Bachelor's in Fine Arts. Got it.
And since then, since graduating, I went maybe about a year just kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do career-wise, and it was kind of slow moving. It was right during the recession, and trying to figure out a freelance career straight out of college was not happening. And so I moved to, first I applied for an art residency to go to Japan.
Okay.
But that didn't take. I didn't receive that. And so the next way to get out of the country and have something new was to go teach English. And so I went to Korea and I lived there for a year and taught English.
Okay.
And then came home and started exhibiting again and got a full-time job. And yeah, a year passed, and then I didn't have the job. And so now, 12 or 11 years later, I've been doing my work full-time, and most people are aware of me through the murals. I go by Rising Red Lotus, which first started as an AKA, but now it's more like a studio name.
Okay.
And so I do murals, I do film work like set design, illustration with different brands, and but then also exhibit in galleries. I have work in High Museum.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty diversified. I also make furniture. I'm a woodworker. A lot of the stuff in here I built.
Love it.
Yeah, and I'm a purveyor of tea, and I once had a tea room, which is in hiatus right now, but you get to experience it.
I get to experience the tea.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to disturb you. I'm looking at that tea.
Yeah.
Let you make the tea. We'll keep talking because you mentioned art first. So younger age, did you have an affinity for art early on in your life?
Yeah, I mean, my mom was a fashion designer, costume designer for film and television and runway stuff. And Now she's an art teacher, but growing up, I'm an only child, so the whole like environment was very creative and nurturing of my imagination and things like that. So art was always around, and comic books found their way into life, and that pretty much like amplified everything.
Is that where you drew your interest in Asian art? Was it through comics or?
Well, later in life, yeah, through like manga and stuff like that. But early on, it was like Marvel and DC and Image and Dark Horse, all that stuff. But the Eastern influence came from like anime. So like Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing were like my favorites at the time. And then that kind of evolved once I started studying in college, like reading different things and traveling. Then I kind of picked up philosophies and mythologies and different aesthetics and things like that.
Yep. You taught English.
Yeah, that was an experience.
It was an
You can smell this if you like.
You want to talk about that experience?
Yeah, it was full of newness and observation and challenge, and I felt really. I mean, of course, I was like early 20s, so I'm transitioning anyway, just in life.
Yeah.
But I think that it kind of brought me closer to what the world had to offer, and in addition, that brought me closer to who I was as a person and who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Which in real time, I didn't really see that, but in the state I am as a man now, I can see what it did.
Yeah. So even in changing direction, there was an experience that you were able to carry on with you.
You can have all these intentions and visions for how you see the trajectory of your life or your plans going, but like I didn't make myself, so there's no way that I can plan something that would be, more of a master plan than what's outside of me.
I like that outlook.
Yeah.
I think the older you get, the more mature you tend to realize that along the way. I can agree, totally agree. Same thing with my career path. So was there ever a gap? I know you started art and then English teacher, but does that mean you stopped practicing your art?
No. Hold on one moment and pause for the cause. Please. No, all the time I was observing, and we were doing language arts kind of thing. So like you have like a topic and you gotta like identify the subject and the predicate and all this stuff. And that's really boring. And so, they had a whiteboard. So if the topic was whatever, I'd go draw whatever it was on it, just to make it interesting and develop some kind of rapport.
That's what I'm talking about.
But in terms of like physically making art, I was doing way more observation, and I didn't realize like how it was shifting in me, but I was like absorbing, and I was going to a lot of gallery shows and museums and hanging out in these calligraphy shops. There's a section of town called Insadong in Seoul, Korea, and it's like, I'd say like the circle or the square where all the calligraphy supplies are and like the shops where you can get paper and all this stuff. And then adjacent to that area, they have a museum for King Sejong, which is, I guess, the first king that brought the Hangul language to Korea, or created it. And so they have like calligraphy exhibitions all through that area. And I was just soaking up and kind of taking notes. And, I did graffiti before I came out there. And so the influences of graffiti and like knowing how to manipulate text, and it started mixing in with what I was observing with the calligraphy out there. And so it just kind of merged together, the observations I was receiving and where I came from as a graffiti writer. And so now I do calligraphy.
So some individuals identify graffiti as ugliness, destruction. What's your view on graffiti? Help us out. Help us understand.
I mean, it's just like anything in the world. It can have all that. It depends on the person who is stepping in that arena, you know. Just like anything in life, you know, it's just how you choose to participate and show up. But for me, it taught me observation skills, personal identity, being able to find myself and then insert myself in my environment. It taught me economics of materials, ingenuitive mindset, and being able to think on your feet and problem solve. Technically, like spatial design and perspective, like all these things that, you know, you pay thousands of dollars to go to the highest college to learn.
Yeah.
And it taught me how to channel my inward energy into like an expressive moment and do it in a way that once it was done, I couldn't take it back. So to be comfortable with the action that you chose to do. And so when, you know, the merger, like from that to calligraphy was it made a lot of sense because you think of like rice paper, it's an absorption material. And you take a brush filled with ink and you make a mark, it's there and it's not going anywhere. And not only is it not going anywhere, it's moving and it's spreading.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, how you channel your energy in that moment, you know, will lead to whatever it is that you're trying to make, being a success or not.
Really?
And then having the freedom to make the mark and be okay with what it is and see it for what it is rather than, you know, what you thought it should have been, which goes right back full circle into what we're talking about, things taking different routes.
Yeah. It's not necessarily a pivot, right? But time to reflect, it's retrospective. And then once you make it, like you said, once you put it down, it's there, it's spreading, it's growing.
So like to some degree, like there's a level of technique and materials understanding, but then also there's a lot left up to chance, which I also like.
Now I see why you just laid back. It's the tea, the chance, to just let it, just let it flow wherever it goes.
Well, I mean, we all have different forms. I haven't always been this way.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think over time, I've been really fortunate and blessed to be able to find connectedness and synergy in the things that I value and through the people that I meet or the things I choose to participate in, which is not easy to come by. In a lot of times, especially if you have a job that maybe isn't in line with your values, there's something that separates you from self.
Yeah.
And it can be really difficult to find the time or the energy to reconnect. And fortunately, I've been able to create a space where I don't really have to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm very appreciative of that.
Being authentic is key, right? Have you ever found yourself in your artwork, you get a request for something, do you find yourself in a position that you have to step outside of what you're comfortable with? How do you handle that, if so?
I mean, yeah, within reason. I mean, there's always things that push the limits of like where I feel like I'm at a particular time. But in terms of like my integrity or my, program, nah. People fortunately come to me for me, and if there's a challenge or something I got to do that's outside of that, then like it's still in line with me. I'm just pushing a little bit further or something, getting out of my comfort zone, which I appreciate too.
And you're okay with that, right? Stepping out of your comfort zone. Yeah,
most of the time. I mean, I run into the same walls as anybody else where it's like, you think that, you create like a little safe haven for yourself, the things that make you feel content and at ease. And just like anybody else, like you get to a point that contests that, it kind of makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I had that too.
So I know you work with multiple mediums. Woodworking is one. Kudos. I love that. We love woodworking in the garage, by the way. We have a maker space. So we have woodworking machines and laser cutters and vinyl cutters and 3D printers and 3D scanners, you name it, is in the garage.
I'd love to come see that.
You're welcome to come to the garage. And you're welcome to come in and work with the machinery and maybe you can show me something. I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
Show me something. Absolutely. You're welcome.
Y'all got a CNC machine?
I have a CNC mill.
Wow. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll pull up.
I can talk a little bit of your language.
Yeah.
Some of your projects in film.
Well, the most notable is Marvel's Black Panther. And that was a phenomenal project that was brought on by Hannah Beekler and Ryan Coogler. And how that came about was I did a mural for Afropunk Music Festival, you know? And I did a mural there, and then I did a mural for Forward Warrior Mural Festival. Anyway, Hannah moved to Cabbagetown, so she saw that mural, and Ryan went to Afropunk and he saw that mural. And so they got to talking, and then it turned out that I had done both of the walls. And so then I got the email and did the job with Black Panther, and it was one of those like dream projects where their whole team, masters at what they do, they came to me and wanted what I did, very, very limited parameters, and just the dynamic and the, I guess, passion for what people were creating, and then me not knowing fully what it was going to become was nothing short of amazing. And some other stuff that I've done work for Constantine, the TV show, not the movie.
In my mind, it's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Because what you did was you put yourself out there. You got to put yourself out there.
And I'll take it a little further for you too. I think the theme of the conversation is there's no straight path. Because the reason that I did those murals, well, first, like I have a comic that I've been working on since like 2010. And it's a really substantial, like ambitious project to be doing by yourself, and at least for me. And so, it's been happening very slowly. And, I'm all about energetic manifestation and just trying to propel myself. And so the comic wasn't really happening. So I was like, all right, I need to, I'll start integrating comic aesthetics into murals. And so the one for Forward Warrior had some comic stuff. The one for Afropunk had some comic stuff. And this is me trying to, for nothing else, trying to psych myself up to get ready to like do my comic. And so the choice of that took me to being, pursued by Marvel, not for my comic, but for the murals. So, maybe the comic, it will happen at some point, but I say all that to say, like, a pursuit of one thing led to another thing, but still in the same vein.
Happens. Is there anything you would like for us to know about Brandon?
I'm actually trying to find more ways to do the Jade Forest Tea Room. That was the name of my tea room. We did a production of tea with some ceramics with an artist named Maddie Barreto from Side Clay Studio. She did, like a little tea set. Actually, this is one of her little plates. She has phenomenal work. I love her stuff. And then I got some tea produced through a company called Yunnan Sourcing. It's like a tea cake with an image of like a comic character on the front. And then I designed a comic book to help you understand how to brew the tea and all this stuff. I have a studio right now in East Atlanta, but I'm in the process of looking for a new studio. So I'll be setting something up soon, and hopefully it'll be a space where I can have a gallery in there too.
That'd be awesome.
And have people coming in, and I'm always open for commissions and corporate collaboration. And the main foundations of my work are identity transformation and storytelling, be it through a process of like what we're doing now, conversation and some level of ritual, or going and seeing a mural and creating a space in the public, or doing a show and having a an experience there. I'm always trying to figure out a way to bridge and make those three things come to be.
Anytime we can sit before someone that's all about stoking creativity and innovation, and you're walking the walk, you're welcome in the garage.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Now, don't kick me out yet, though.
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna finish my tea.
Yeah.